So, hi everyone. Today we're back again in another conversation with Meenal. And today we have a very special guest with us, Mitali, who has been associated with the whole MPFI family for a long time now. And the focus of today's discussion will be abundance and the frequency of abundance. Because Mitali's story is all about this journey into abundance. So, Mitali, would you like to share your story with us?
All right. So when I came to Meenal, it was exactly somewhere in February 2016, so 6 years now. So my father had just moved on, and Meenal and her team, somebody from Meenal's team was doing healings for me and my entire family. And through them, she received some visions for me and my family, and there were some messages that flowed through her. And she had no idea of my situation or my family. And the messages that she gave me were exactly as per the questions that I had in my mind at that time. So at that point in time, when my father had moved on, my husband had a failed business. I had just kind of picked up a job 6 months old after a 5 year sabbatical. I had two kids who were just about 1.5 and 4.5 then, and absolutely zero assets, huge debts. And a lot of other things that already transpired in the past, like harassment from people, threats from people, all of those things. So a lot of desperation, fear, worry, anxiety, and mostly a lot of lack was playing out and out and out all throughout. And while I was having spiritual practices in my life, then I had a theoretical understanding of the fact that your suffering is your creation, or every person in your life is your choice, and that you shouldn't blame anyone outside. So all these thoughts or theoretical understanding concepts I had, and that there was this whole gap of how to make this a part of your life, as in the knowledge to knowing and live it on a moment to moment, day to day basis, is what was the missing link. Right. And when I attended Meenal's workshop, even after that for a year, I wasn't even following any. Well, at that time, it was just the candle process and guidance. And the wholeness tool is the two, three things that I picked up from the workshop, but I couldn't do anything for almost a year. And it was only after Meenal started, but there was something about the WhatsApp group where everybody would share their posts and all, and I would just, follow it, whether I understood it or not. So somewhere I was, tuning into that frequency of what we used to call the higher frequencies or the guys upstairs at that time. And when Meenal then opened up, earlier she was on this huge resistance to being approachable to people or being, a guru or a guide to people. So she was like, I've told you everything in my workshop. Now, whether you do it or not, it's your call. Then when she, of course, worked and her guidance was strong that she has to be a guru to people. And when she accepted that role and started opening up and started saying, okay, now she's open to people setting up time with her and connecting with her. So whenever my situation would be beyond my understanding and I would be in too much chaos, I would just, set up a time with her, call her. And as she was guided, either a deep release would come through or some other tool would come through. So at that time, no 30-day exercise was there, no website was there to go back to or refer to, no webinars were there to go and listen to. So everything was just, reaching out to her. But of course, in this process, a lot of work happened in terms of releasing the lack outside and this and that. But even though all this was happening, I couldn't stop blaming my husband for the situation that he had put us in, and the constant issues that rose due to the multi-crore losses that he made in business, which led to debts and a lot of people turning up at our home unannounced at odd hours at times, creating unnecessary nuisance at times, creating giving threats at times. So I was understanding that it's my creation, but I was always like, okay, if my husband's gone from my life, if he dies, if he commits suicide, everything will get over. My focus was just there. And so one day when I was sitting at my Meenal's house, and I could just, tell her that please do my PLR. She told, I knew she used to do PLRs, but she'd stopped for a long, long time. I think. And then it was not even me, it was just the guidance of the higher frequency flowing through me, which made me say this. Now I realize that. And so the PLR, I think, was a big breakthrough point where I saw a life where I was having an abusive, father, physically abusive. And then the happiest day of my life was that I got married. And then I thought that finally, all that trauma is over. And I went into a married household where the abuse continued with the in-laws and the husband. And in that life, I was burnt alive. While that was a life that played out, Meenal took me back to the point where if I could choose differently in awareness. So if I could choose, what would I choose? So, at a point where I first felt that fear of being beaten up, if I could choose differently and had I chosen to run away or chosen that fear over courage, the courage over fear, and that life ended up with a very different way. Instead of me being burnt alive, it just ended up with a lot of peace. A normal life, but a very peaceful life. And that moment was, anchored in my PLR, that peace that I felt. And even today, when I, do this hook that we do give in the PLRs, I can instantly feel and understand and observe and connect to that peace that I felt. So that was the differentiator, because after the PLR, whenever I had this moment of fear, earlier when somebody would walk up to my house, I would be in a lot of guilt and I would allow them to say whatever they wanted to, give all the threats and trying to deal with it very, nicely, politely. But after the PLR and when those moments came up again, I could choose differently. Wherever I was fearful, where somebody said, we'll come, we'll get the cops to your house, I said, dare you enter my house at a time when my children are going to sleep. And so in those moments when I started in awareness, I said, you come, I'll meet you outside. I'm not denying you your meeting. I'll meet you outside. And but you will not enter my house. And they were like, we'll get media, we'll get cops. I said, yeah, I'll also call the cops. You enter my premises and show me. Which earlier was that I couldn't say that because I was feeling a lot of guilt and feeling responsible for whatever my husband had created in his business. And I was somehow feeling responsible and the guilt. So where I felt the guilt and I felt the responsibility, people would come and talk to me saying, you are a party to his decisions. And it was so beautiful that the moment I could completely release the guilt with this thought that, I have not done this. And I'm not responsible and I'm not the one. It is an experience that both of us have chosen for each other and in our life, and it's just playing out. So when this knowledge became a knowing, when it became so instilled in my heart, people started vanishing out of the life. It was this one moment where there was this one night where these two guys, they rang my bell frantically. It was literally midnight. And I was completely dizzy and I opened the door and they're like, we need 50 lakh rupees tomorrow. Otherwise, we getting you removed from the job. You'll be behind the bars. Your children will be out of the school. Their faces will be all over the media. And, you will not know where to show your face. And it will be miserable for you to live in this area. And I was like, at that point, in that night, in those 3-4 hours of between crying and candling and journaling, the intensity of releasing my fear, my lack, and my acceptance of what is became so much more. At that moment, I didn't run. I didn't run to make 20 calls to people saying, give me 50,000, 10,000, whatever you have. I need to, do something. No action. No action outside. Only observing the fear inside, only releasing my fear, only releasing all attachments to expectation of an outcome that if I give them money, it will be okay for a few days, they'll be quiet. So all outcomes were released, all acceptances of all fears playing out. My children being removed from school, accepted. Me and my sister, my mother and my sister who are dependent on me, they not having means of survival, accepted. I be behind the bars, whether my children have a mother or not. All the fears that I had, that because I was the only, like you can say, the sole bred, winner. So, whether they have food on the table or not, whether they die or not, whether they live or not, all of those outcomes or these anticipated fears that I had in my mind, I played them out all through in just one night, mere, like I'm telling you, 3 4 hours of work. And the intensity of the release was so firm and I think lodged then in my heart that I became totally fearless. I became totally fearless, and I accepted my situation to be this way for the rest of my life. But this time the difference was, it was not resignation. There was complete joy and there was complete gratitude. So I was then, after that, the days that followed, I was completely flying. That night I saw those two guys, and after that they stay pretty much in the vicinity. It's been now almost 3.5 years. I haven't seen their face, nor received a call from them, nor received a message from them.
Wow. Just a
So
quick question
beautiful.
here. I
So
just have a
beautiful. So I'm also going to add something over
sure.
here. Because I was constantly with Mitali, and it's so funny. She says that Meenal um, was not willing to take on the role of a guru, and that's completely, that's the truth. However, even when people came to my workshop, I was always constantly responding to them, and I was giving answers. And even, this was an internal fight that I had. This is my journey, right? But answers always came through me in whatever manner were needed for people. Whatever their journey was going on, and these two were tied in tandem. However, so beautiful that when Mitali came to me for past life, and then she blurted out saying, do my past life regression. I had stopped doing past life regressions almost 2 or 3 years ago, because the way that I had learned them, and I actually had gone to a PLR academy in London, and I'm the only one who kind of, learned the process someplace. But as as I was, as I was going through my journey, I recognized that past life is simply a story and not really needed. Not really needed. The emotion that we hold on to, if we can put our finger onto that, then the work is done. But as in Mitali's case, when it was needed, it just came right through her. That piece that was unsolvable for her guidance said, you just, Meenal, you do this, and it'll be released. What was that piece? The finger was outside. The finger was outside, that it is, my husband is putting me through shame. If he was not there, I would have no shame. And then in the past life regression, the answer that came, so not only do we do just a past life regression, but also there is a purpose. You came to experience something in this life. And so I asked Mitali, and when you are in that energy space, you have all the answers. So in that moment, when she had all the answers, I asked her, what did you come to experience in this life? And her pat, the answer came, shame. How beautiful. I heard the answer, but most importantly, she also heard the answer, right? And in that
Wow.
moment, it became grounded in her, that it's not an outside person that can show her shame unless she too is wishing to experience that. Everything is about our energy field, and that got grounded in her in that moment. And yes, how beautifully, when she talks about that night that those two goons showed up, and she looked, and for the first time, because the finger was not outside, the finger was within. Okay, I have chosen this experience, now I can shift it. But for the first time, now she had all of that knowledge of how, or rather the knowing of how choosing fearless instead of fear would have given her a different life. And she was able to use that information that came to her in that session. She was able to use that to change this life as well. And how beautiful when we say, those people have come, they've threatened us, they are coming tomorrow, this is all going to play out. And we sit in so much worry. But can you just imagine that you work on your energies of worry,
Mm.
and the outside scenario changes? It is just so important to understand that the work is always within. This time, Mitali didn't run anywhere. No calls here, no calls there, no calls to me. She just sat, and she sat in her energies, looked at everything, released, but joyously. She was this time able to understand that she is the creator. And then she set about to destroy whatever she was and then create a new self for herself. How much time did that take that night? Of course, the journey is constantly ongoing and we are going through layers and layers of uncovering. But how much time did it take for her to shift that night? 2 or 3 hours. You just bring the focus in, and there is no time, there is no concept of time. You can just shift frequencies and frequencies. Something that people say might take centuries. Yes, it might take centuries. And yet it might take just a moment. So in that day, when she was looking so much within, it just took a few hours and the work of centuries got done. That jump from fear to fearless, it happened in those 3 hours. And from that point onwards till today, that thing has also been some 3 or 4 years, I
Three and
forget.
a half, yeah. 3 years, almost 4 years.
But now that fearless has become her base frequency.
That's
That
so
night,
amazing.
that shift happened. She used to sit in fear. In that night, she moved the frequency to fearless. Fear to fearless didn't take time. And from that point onwards, she's always able to bring herself to that, because the work doesn't end. Tomorrow there'll be a fear of another sort. There'll be another story playing outside, sometimes to do with your loved ones, sometimes to do with the health of somebody or the other. But constantly you are able to look within. Once this is the new frequency you've grounded yourself in, it'll keep showing up. It'll give you a choice. But the choice can only be exercised when one is ready to bring all the fingers within and to look, okay, what of my energy is playing out this story? There's nobody outside. Just what part of my energy is playing out this story? And so that's what Mithali did. And since then, it's not like life doesn't play out. Every single day, there are new ups and downs, not just for her. People say, oh, you have problems too. I said, this is life. I don't call them problems. I call them just another opportunity to look within. If life was just flowing so quickly, we become condescending, and to say that, okay, this is, I am the enlightened one right now. What does it mean? Nothing. Enlightenment is moment to moment. The minute you are aware, you're enlightened. The next moment you're unaware, you're unenlightened. And it doesn't mean anything, because it just simply creates different kind of experiences. So you're okay with this experience, and then you're okay with this experience. In that moment, the experience itself changes. When Mitali was okay with this experience and okay with that experience, she played out all the scenarios and brought this to herself. She brought this to herself through her awareness that I am okay. I am not, I'm not looking to change the outside. My only job is to look within. And she became okay with every outcome. The outcome shifted. The outcome shifted. Those people just disappeared overnight after having threatened that night that we are coming tomorrow. That tomorrow never happened, right? How beautiful is that? That in every moment we can shift our frequency if only we are looking with it.
That's so amazing. But I just have a quick question here. See, when there's an imminent threat or there is something which is about to happen, like you said, there is no action required. And see, our bodies are geared. Like we've lived 20, 30, 40 odd years in this paradigm wherein action causes reaction. And in order to prevent something from happening or make something happen, you need to be prepared. You need to do something. You need to get things in order. So, how is it that one can just simply ignore all of that urge to act, that biological instinct to fight or flee, and just simply sit and look within and then not even care what the outcomes are? Because like you said, the outcomes automatically change. But as I understand, if you expect the outcomes to change, so the expectation has come to be released. So how
Yes.
is it that you can just look within without even expecting that even if you look within, something will change on the outside?
See, I'll take that one, because the first thing that you said was we've been conditioned for 30 to 40 years. No, sir. You've been conditioned for millions of years, right? And you're not just this body. You've been conditioned for millions of years because you wanted to experience. You wanted to experience duality. You wanted to experience the frequencies of the mind, which is what the earth has to offer to us. It's all about sitting in the frequencies of the mind where I am this and you are that. We came here to experience the separation so that we could understand oneness, so that that knowing of oneness would be even more deeper within. And for that, we chose to come to earth, right? So as many years, these 40 years mean nothing because we are energy, we are eternal. But all of this time, if you've been sitting unaware, that's unaware, right? Not just for these 40 years, but for the last 400 million years, you were going through the journey of unaware, because those are the ways. By being unaware is the only way that you can experience the frequencies of the mind, that you can experience separation. So you had to be unaware to experience that. And then there comes a time when you become aware. These experiences of separation are now coming to a close. You know, you keep
Hmm.
going to a hill station and hill station and hill station. And then
Hmm.
finally you're like, okay, I think I've done enough hill stations. I think I should go to the ocean now.
Hmm.
Just a different experience, right? So awareness gives you not just different experiences, but once you get into the awareness,
Hmm.
once you get into that mode, the aware frequencies of the heart will create a different natural response, because unaware frequencies of the mind create that flight and fight response, but
Hmm.
the aware frequencies of the heart create oneness responses, like, let me surrender this, let me work within. So you're talking about, apples and oranges. First you were an apple, and now you're trying to become an orange, but all the help is available for you to become an orange. It just takes that little thought of awareness, and you can easily transform from apple to orange, because guess what? Both are simply frequencies. So
Amazing.
one, when you say, how can this happen?
Hmm.
It happens when the frequencies that you are taking within are shifting. These automatic thoughts will come that, okay, let me sit and release. Would
Hmm.
Mitali in that moment, would Mitali have got both the thoughts? Yes, she did get the first thoughts, and that's why some crying happened as well. She said after the crying was done and during this was done, and then she was simultaneously, she also sat down to release this thought that, okay, I need to release this, I need to look within. These thoughts came parallelly because now she was playing on both frequencies. In that point, it was a choice whether she will go with this or she will go with that. But because this time she was more aware than before. What does awareness means? All the looking is within, because this time the finger was not pointed outside. Now she was more aware. Earlier, the finger was pointed outside, somebody else is creating these problems for me, or whatever the roles are. But now that the finger was inside, more awareness, and so therefore, the different set of frequencies. The different set of frequencies will create different outcomes. For that only, I give people my set of frequencies, because it will help you, it will help you receive these other thoughts.
Hmm.
Let's work within. If you've just simply, and what is needed from you? Just this simple bit of awareness that, okay, let's do this meditation. Or let's just constantly remind ourselves, I take energy from Meenal. It's
Hmm.
that simple. You take energy from Mitali, Mitali is your frequency. You take energy from Meenal, Meenal is your frequency. It doesn't belong to Meenal. It is just a reminder that this is a choice that you can be. And that's all there is. The frequencies out there, it belongs to everybody. But now you can simply tune into this frequency with a simple little line. And that frequency starts to give you a different set of answers.
Amazing. So, again, like I asked, the second part of my question was, when you're also in that release process, you somehow are initially doing it because you wish to release it. And that inherently creates an expectation of a situation which you will experience after having released this thing which is bothering you right now. So, do you go into the process completely without any kind of expectations, or you like
There is
know what you want out of it?
there is layerings and layerings, right? So initially, when you're completely, you know, overwhelmed by whatever is happening in your life, and many people are overwhelmed because their frequencies are just playing out, and somebody says, "Okay, go do this." The minute they think, "Okay, Meenal frequency is going to save us," immediately there is an expectation, right? That this frequency is going to save us from calamity. It works. See, wherever you are, the universe is playing alongside you. It only gives you what you are ready to handle. So it's not like immediately at the first instance, if I tell you, okay, come to me, I'll give you an answer. That answer won't work for you. You should go in with that expectation. You're going to be completely confused. Why should I even do this if it's not going to work for me? Right? So it's not that it doesn't work for you. It works. What is happening as you constantly see it working for you? What is it that you are doing? You are moving from your doubt frequency to your faith frequency. So there is a lot of frequencies at play at any time. And so when people come to me initially, I do say that, as you let go of anger, think of anger as a very dear friend that's now leaving you. You needed that anger, you needed that fight, you needed that flight till the time you were playing from the frequencies of the mind. It was a needed tool. And now you're going to play from another set. You're going to play at another chord. You're going to play from another place, another frequency that is no longer needed, but it served its purpose. So think of anger or think of sadness as your friend. But people forget because they are actually in fear. No, my anger has created all of these problems in my life. I really just want to get rid of my anger. So they will begin to release, and actually anger will get released. And then they will also see the difference outside. They will also see the difference inside, and yet the next layer will show up. It will show up. So the universe keeps showing you that you've done some work. It gives you instant rewards. When people say, well, rewards take time, that's, they're just simply looking at time as a player in their life. But the minute you begin to understand energy doesn't play in time and space. So really, you work today, you are able to see rewards tomorrow. Are these rewards going to be forever? No, they can shift because again, energies are constantly shifting. And so that's why a bath is needed every time you get dirty. That's how it is. So Mitali, look, I mean, how much more speed can you talk about? And it's not, why was Mitali doing these releases on that last day? If she hadn't seen the process work, then would she even be sitting to say, okay, I need to release my fears? No, but the process had been working. She'd been seeing, okay, this is working, this is working. Oh, this process works. And so it was working a little by little. But that fellow landed up at her door. We call him a goon, but the most amazing messenger of what your frequency holds, please release it today. He actually came and gave Mitali such a push that please, aren't you done with these experiences? Look, I've come here to you for the last time. Let's release it today. And so this time she was able to understand the underlying message that so-called goon was giving. That goon was a messenger of the highest frequencies of faith and fearlessness. And how beautiful is that we can't see it if we are looking outside. We can only see that message once we look within, once we've done the work, and then we feel so much gratitude for whoever has pushed us into that place.
Wow.
So yeah.
That,
Just to add
that,
there, initially for the first 2 years or something, even after doing all the things that Meenal had taught and all, things kept worsening and kept worsening. So the only thing, the takeaway that I have and the message that I would like to share is that even if things outside change or not, I can confidently say that releasing and being in gratitude is the only way to really shift. Because even when everything is not working in your favor, the universe is still playing in your favor. So even when I was completely unaware and not having all these theoretical understandings, I got a job at a time when I had no money to pay my dad's treatment, and then he was covered at my office. I was fighting with the IT for a 1.5 crore penalty, that they were claiming on me. That got settled without paying them anything. So many things were happening, but my focus was not on what's happening in my favor. Even in those desperate circumstances, I was only looking at, oh, why me, and how much more, and I'm done, and how much more should I keep doing. To being in this observance of every small thing and being in gratitude for it being in my favor started slowly playing out. And it's not like things didn't worsen. Things worsened for a year or two, they got better, and then again a year and a half back, again something major happened. But now that understanding that yes, even this to a creation of my frequency, even if I'm at my releases, even if I'm doing everything, that doesn't mean that I don't know what my energy holds. So I don't know what is there that's yet to play out. But it's only when something plays out is when I know that, okay, this too I need to now work on and release. So it's not like all the releases that you're doing are not working. But when something more now happens outside, it's just that, okay, wow, I now know that I need to work on this aspect too, because I had not seen it, or it wasn't in my awareness, because nothing outside was showing me what I'm storing still. So now each outside situation or turmoil or chaos, as we now call, as I also call it, as an opportunity to see that, okay, wow, this too I'm storing. So this too is just a opportunity to look within and release more. So more bigger things, I would say. See, those outside situations were like easier to say that, okay, strangers are creating them for you. But when those situations became closer in house and it became more and more personal, and then where I had again more work to do on detachment, more work to do on unconditional love and accepting myself completely. So that also played out eventually. So it's even after being with Meenal and working and experiencing miracles and amazing shifts and coming to abundance, things still worsened at times in my life. But that journey became shorter, because what took years to understand and imbibe and release now became a process of, maybe several weeks or at times days. So the shifts have become that much more easier. Looking within has become a way of life. And for anybody who is really seeing no shift in their life, I would only say the key is to continue going on and persevering, because we continue taking a bath every day, we continue to eat every day, we continue to drink water every day, whether we really somebody's died in our life, or the whole life has turned upside down. You will do these things no matter what. So this process of looking within, journaling and release, do it just like that. Your daily breathing, water, eating and energy work is like as essential a part of your inner regime.
That's the awareness piece, right? Through awareness, the speed just simply picks up. And again, exactly what Mithali said, but she says, things kept worsening, right? And then for me, again, I simply look at something on the outside and say, rather than judging it to be whether this is worse or this is good, if I have to judge it, I will say, okay, this is the universe playing in my favor. Why is this worst situation that I can be in? How can this be the universe playing in my favor? It's the universe playing in my favor because the universe is telling me, look, you didn't put your awareness on these parts of you. You still need to work on these parts of you. I am so vast, my energy is so vast that I don't know everything that I hold. You talked about 30, 40 years. I don't know what all I'm holding for the past 400 million years, right? So if there is something that is still that still needs to be worked on, whether let's say it's a frequency of mistrust and you need to move into complete faith, or if it's the frequency of anger or irritation and you need to move to complete joy, the universe will keep showing it to you outside so that okay, this is the part that needs cleaning today. And that's how the universe makes it so easy for us to work on ourselves. We don't have to work on every vast aspect of ourselves. No, today this area needs the spring cleaning. Here, go ahead and just clean this much. And that is why something outside happens to show us what all we hold inside. And we work on that. This is, every day, something new, something old will keep happening. This is life. We keep tuning into energies, we keep receiving deeper and deeper answers. And that happens when we are aware.
It's just perfect. So, the crux of it is that the universe is playing in your favor, and the ultimate favor that it can do you is to get you to that point of dissolution wherein nothing really causes you to be triggered anymore.
Yes.
So any situation which you think at the level of a body is not, according to your expected outcomes, is actually more and more in your favor, because it's showing you what do you need to do to get to that eventual goal of dissolving all.
Eventual becomes, so easy in the now. There is no eventual. Every time you're able to put your finger within, and then the eventuality is in this moment itself. The next moment might hold something else, but you look within, you clear this, and that space of blankness happens almost instantly. You rightly said that the universe is not here to deliver to you your outer manifestation. As a matter of fact, the universe is simply here to empty you, because when you are empty, now you are the universe.
Wow.
The universe is simply getting you to that same space. Stop attaching yourself to this little body and what this little body needs. Recognize you are the universe. What is universe? It is energy. It is the sum total of all energy. What are you? You're the sum total of all energy. But do you sit in this space, or do you sit trapped in a tiny little body? And that's where the universe keeps showing you where all you need to work. You just do that much. And in that moment, you're able to come from the same place, that same source that the universe is.
And that, I guess, is true abundance.
That is always, universe is so totally abundant. There is no shortage in the universe of anything. So total abundance. That is why, look, you do the work within and outside manifests. So Mitali, you might want to sign off by telling about what manifested for you when you finally did all the work within.
So, like I said, once I did all those releases, there came this point where I felt absolutely light. I was absolutely joyous and flying, even with my outside, nothing changing in my outside situation, those threats looming and uncertainty there, the depth there, everything there. There was this period of 2-3 months where I was so amazingly joyous and blissful and full of gratitude, literally flying. And that's when my 40th birthday, Meenal had kept an Ananda at her place, and that's where I think the biggest gift, I mean, externally speaking, what we call manifestation of abundance came through in form of the house that I live in today, which is, of course, her house. It's a beautiful, beautiful property, one of the most premium elitist areas of Mumbai, and a huge 3,000 square feet apartment, which, I somewhere had a dream of always. And it's so beautiful and it's so true, because I had detached myself from ever having a space of my own. So of course, through the release of desires and everything, I had no such thing. But yes, there was this intent once that I had made, and it was exactly like a 3,000 square feet apartment. And water body, I needed a water body. That was sometime in my unawareness that I had made that intent, that a 3,000 square feet apartment with a water body around, and you're this house as east, west, both sides water body, amazing views, and which I post regularly on the group, the sunsets and the sunrises, and the amazing guidances that flow with it. I'm in gratitude for each moment that I wake up in this house and I live here. And it is so beautiful that I look within, and at each moment, there is that detachment as well, that even if today, if I have to like leave this place, I know that I'm taken care of and I'm so much in abundance. So there is, it is not, the abundance is not attached to me being where I'm staying, but it is truly now a frequency within, where I know wherever I am, as long as I have Meenal's frequency, and I that's all that I need to create the musty, whether it's a 1 room place or a 20 room place. So it's not really attached to the house, but truly the joy. And that, of course, manifests in terms of things outside.
So beautiful
Wow.
that, so I'm sitting at home and, I live in a rented apartment. I don't have, and then we had bought this apartment, where Mitali lives now. We bought this apartment for our retirement. And I receive in guidance one day saying, gift this apartment to Mitali. That's it, simply gift it. It belongs to her now. And that was that. So I had to look within to see what all I'm experiencing. The house just didn't belong to me. Actually, it belonged largely to my husband. He's the one who'd put in all of that money. And my first thought was not, how can I give away my house? Because a house, doesn't mean much to me. I understand no matter what the price of the house be, I understand that money manifests in every frequency. But as I'm looking at that, I did have, something to work upon. And that something for me was my own judgment. Because for me, the judgment was, what is my husband going to say? It's his house that I'm receiving guidance for. And what is he going to say? So I had to work on myself on that judgment piece before, taking an outside action. I had to look within to release, because I was going to ask him, can we give this house away? Can we give our retirement house away to somebody I don't even know? She just came to my workshop a couple of times, and now I'm receiving to give this house away to her. So see, the frequencies find a match, right? Why would I gift a house to Mitali? I hold that same frequency of fearlessness that now she has started to tune into. And so they will find the match, and together, what is going to be manifesting from that one event is even more joy, right? Because we are sitting in the frequency of abundance. What will be created from here? Even more abundance. But that's how the cycle moves outside when the work is done within. My first thought was not of giving away the house the minute the guidance came. As soon as the guidance came, I looked within. I looked where all I'm sitting, where all the work needs to be done. It was simply on this judgment place. I worked on myself. I released the judgments for myself. The first thought that came to my mind was the husband is going to say, are you crazy? So, so I simply turned it around to myself and I said, the husband doesn't even know yet, right? So who's thinking all of this up? It's me. I'm creating the responses that I'm going to hear. So I'm going to release these responses. And the only judgment I take for myself then is, no, I'm Shiva. So I'm Shiva and you are Shiva too. I am awesome and you are awesome too. And when that sits as the knowing, then there is no losses, there is no victories, there is no convincing anybody. Everything just flows. And in that flow, when I asked my husband, My husband doesn't do this energy work. But see how beautiful is the energy. I did the work. And when I said, can we give this house away? It took him 30 seconds to say yes.
That's, just mind blowing.
So I don't have to go convince anybody outside at all. I just simply have to work within, and the outside takes care of itself. How beautiful is that? For every unsolvable puzzle that you are sitting in, you just look within, and that puzzle will get solved.
Because you'll realize that there was no puzzle to begin with.
Isn't that so awesome? Yes. You created
Perfect.
the puzzle, you solved it.
That's so perfect. And that brings me to the end of my line of questions, because the true abundance is the very fact that everything in the universe is yours, yet it is just emptiness, and it is yours. Whatever is playing within you is what will be created outside. So that is the true essence of abundance, and that is the true essence of being in oneness with the entire universe. So that's just so amazing, and thank you both for giving me your time today to talk about this beautiful concept.
Wonderful. Lots and lots of love. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you
having
so much.
me. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.